Okay, we can start.
Yes. You got it.
Okay. Time being 6:32, I call the Community Development Corporation meeting of May 8th to order. No public speakers. We are going to move agenda item 3 forward to allow the board to recess for a field trip. To review the property, and then we're going to return once we've reviewed the property, right? Okay. So.
We got a proposal.
Right, and so the deal was, remember, we looked at the plans and it wasn't deep enough, so we were gonna go visit the site, so we did. And once we got over there, we're like, oh my goodness, this is our town's representation. There's dead trees, there's stumps, there's all kinds of, it just doesn't look very good. So I thought we'd take a quick trip, doesn't need to be long, take a quick trip, see what everybody else thinks, if everybody else is kind of on the same page, or if you're like, well, it looks good to me. But just looking at it, yeah, when you're standing there, you're like, wow, we own all this. So why don't we take a trip over there? I've asked Rachel with Evergreen. She gave us a proposal. They take care of the corner. Am I right? Just the grass. Right.
We did all landscaping. That's why.
Right. And so you'll notice that you guys are only mowing. But I think we need to look at the irrigation over there too, because we maintain it as needed. So if we're not checking it, it's probably not getting right. And I'm not asking you to.
So you got the Gulf Stream fueled first?
Well, the Gulf Stream is fueled. Let's go. So what, do we need to convene?
Recess and state the time that you're.
Okay, so it is 6:34. Let's recess for a, field trip to view the property real quick. I think the best way to go is we're gonna have to take a couple cars up to Green Oaks and down. We don't have to mess with, we'll just park there. How's that?
We're going to the field trip. Okay, you wanna drive or you want me to?
Probably you.
Okay, come on.
Mine's fully full of stuff.
Yeah.
And dirty right now.
What company, Jim?
Sure.
We got the,
I got it. So.
Water. I'm staying back in case somebody shows up for the meeting. I'll try not to. Thank you. Yeah. You're
Hi.
back. Hi.
I stole it from him. Shame on you. I am a very bad girl. We know. Meeting to order. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, that was invented when? And we trying to get.
Sorry for the unexpected field trip, but I just kind of, it would be hard to.
Oh, no, we're not forgiving you. Sorry.
We're not what?
Not forgiving you.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Just kidding. Next time we would like drinks though.
Secretary for
We
nothing.
can go to the
Sonic
Bartonville store after
Theater
that,
or
okay?
something.
That's in the budget. Okay,
Hold on, hold on. Okay.
I'd like to we need to reconvene back into regular session to continue the meeting. Ted, did you want to do the presentation now? I know Ms. Buck has to leave. So,
Which was the landscaping?
yeah, how do we want to do it? Do you want to run through the regular 1, 2, and 3? You want to, we're just gonna move 3 up anyway, right? The whole way?
Yes.
Okay.
I know, so that's why he wanted to move it up, see if we.
Yeah,
could-
let's stay on 3 and we'll go if that's
Okay.
okay. I don't mind.
So will you make everybody aware of what we have in the budget for this project?
Y'all
and
have a
what-
y'all have a line item that again was discussed during the budget process about wanting to clean that corner up. And I know that we've got some new members. There's a line item of $50,000.
Right.
To put into that corner to freshen it up and present Bartonville how y'all really want it to be presented. So again, that's what's in the budget now. There is no limitation other than what y'all are comfortable doing and me taking to council. 50,000 is already approved. I'd probably, if y'all decided you want to spend 50 or 55 even out there, probably I'd give council a heads up. Because it's
My
such a
opinion
large
only.
project.
There's something in this, just my opinion, there's some things in the proposal that I don't think we need to do.
Agreed.
But I don't have any idea of what does need to be done, or my opinions on that are.
Well, can we do we move to make a motion? So like area C, front view, the one over by the little metal thing where we were standing in the end.
Yeah,
We kind of talked about, maybe having them bid out mulch there or putting grass back in, because I feel like that's a pretty large flower bed that's gonna cost quite a bit of money.
talking about right along, where you said to her, why can't we just not put the flower bed up and,
For Green Oaks.
Yes,
Is it Green Oaks?
no.
it's a corner of McMakin, right? That's McMakin.
right,
Isn't it?
McMakin's where you're talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was standing there with you and you said.
Yes, where the
"Let's not-"
silo is, in
Right.
front of the silo.
So you guys tell me what you want and I'll take it back and get a number from them.
So, I mean, that's what I think. I think that would save us quite a bit of money to just put mulch and leave those rocks there and not like make a big deal on that side. I think that would save us probably several $1,000s.
Clean, but not.
Right,
Landscape.
right, right. Cleaned up.
What area was that?
It's this one, page
Area
13,
C.
the top of the page.
Basically mulch and or grass is what it's saying through there, right?
You've gone too far.
So you're saying 13,
Yeah.
Oh, area
Page eight.
C.
Yeah, go to page 8 and she's got area A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And here we're talking about area C.
so area C is also on page 13, which is a bigger view.
So the mulch alone is only $340.
So so just to make sure I'm understanding here, because if I'm gonna go back to him, you want me on area C, and Terry and Jim, speak up here if you don't want me to do it or want me to, so we're all on the same page. You want me to go back to her and say, hey, on area C, we don't want the rock. We want to remove the dead plants and add mulch.
And she has to bring in rock right over there to fill in. There was what,
So-
that a yard.
When we're looking at this one, do you remember? Okay, so where we were talking about the rock under that sign where we were joking about there's a bench there.
Yep.
So there's this area over here where there's some dead plants and such. And so closer to the road, right? And Jim was over there with us. And I was like, what are these? Or like maybe some dead, I don't know what, some sort of pampas grass or something. She said, well, we could rip those up and continue with the river rock that's already over here. Just continue it in there, right? That's not included in the bid. So that's one thing. This, omitting this whole shenanigans up here. Because when she did C, she included both of these as C. So when we're looking at the bid, it's really hard to separate them. Because she didn't do it by like this area and that area. She did it by C, the whole thing. So omitting this and then putting, like Randy suggested, maybe mulch here around those rocks or grass there around those rocks, whichever one is more cost effective. I think either one would be pretty because it would look picked up, right? It would look like put together. And then like for me, I made the commentary and I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but I feel like putting desert plants in this landscape is not necessarily what I think is attractive. So where she had like lantana and the vitex tree and drift roses and things like that, I think those are good options for plants and like the color guard yucca, but like the yucca rosatron, maybe the agave and the prickly.
Pear.
Yeah, like in my opinion, if we could do something different, that would be. That would be.
You
I-
guys
I would-
clarify in section C, are you saying all of section C?
No,
Or are you
there's-
saying still
this-
do this piece, but not this piece?
correct.
Okay.
Go to the next.
Let me ask a question. I don't see anything in there that has anything to do with the well or the electrical.
It's functioning. Y'all replaced that pump this last summer.
She talked
In the
about the
well.
irrigation and just having that checked
Well,
quarterly.
Look at that electrical. One of the boxes is half off. It's all rusting. And so I'm
I told
guessing.
Thad what I would do is this. I told him that I would get one of my guys out, one of the guys I deal with, and get a number to straighten everything up. Bring that back and you guys can say, yeah, I won't use one of my guys. I'll get, or we can get a third party. Would you have to get bids on that?
Size of job. I don't.
Okay.
bid everything.
I have nothing to do with these guys. So you know what I mean?
I typically.
I'd like to,
five, I'll
I'd
start
like to
go
pose
with
this a
bid.
different way.
Just
actually.
three verbals. No, we just did again, not yet. Something like this, we'd probably want to bid.
Yeah.
Again, a
Project?
project this size,
Okay.
y'all work on the design. I think we'd probably need to bid.
Mhm.
Can
I
I
agree.
propose something a little bit different? I agree that there's too much in too many areas. But I'd like to come at it a different way. I'd like to cut the number of dollars, subtract whatever we needed to do for the well and for electrical, which we have to have in irrigation to make it work. And then come up with another proposal for a lower amount of dollars. Cause I don't want to sit here and decide which plant goes where. What I'd like to do is have somebody who knows what they're doing say, okay, for this number of dollars, this is what we could do that absolutely would do the job. Is that-
I think for the minimal electric that's out there, we're less than, I mean, it's a very simple electric.
$1,000 or less.
I'm thinking 2,000, 1,500, somewhere in there. You can't get anybody out the door for $500 anymore.
No, you can't.
So I think, yeah, $1,000 to $2,000 somewhere in there should get us pretty well cleared up. I think. Now the light.
You think that's the well is?
Well, is there something wrong with the well?
What are your concerns? Again, you got a brand new pump down in the well currently.
The well's
Okay,
the well's okay.
So the well's okay.
We just need to
That
clean the
wasn't
electrical
cheap.
up that's hanging on the pole and it's not, it's a hazard.
It is a hit.
So I agree. So I think that even if we punched in $2,000, that still leaves us a good bit of money to work with here. And my opinion only is $55,000 I wasn't ready for when she sent that. I was thinking 25, 30,000. But again, we've got it in the budget, but that doesn't mean we have to spend
Well,
it.
that's
So
where I was gonna head. I was gonna say, 35 to 40 doesn't bother me at all, but it has to include everything. And that can strip out the things that, I agree it's too much. I'm in absolute agreement there, but I don't know which plant personally grows better than the other and has more color and blah, blah, blah. But I think if we strip the dollars down, that forces a decision to be made.
I think maybe bring in a couple more people to give us bids and give us their plan, like what would you do? and maybe see what they come back with as well, because there's some of these plants in here, like the agave and those prickly pear, those are expensive.
Mhm.
That knocks off, you can almost knock off $10,000 out of this by getting rid of the desert stuff.
We have to go advertise this in the newspaper for bid.
We can call 3.
Okay.
My recommendation on that though would be define your budget and what all needs to be included. And because then it's easier for them, who's giving us the most for that money, because we'll be all over the charts. If we don't give them a budget.
That's what I think.
We'll be at 55 or 60,000
Okay,
again.
so how often, where did that 50,000 come from and how often is it there?
It was just a budget item that was
Just a
put in.
one-time budget item.
Yeah.
When did we set it this year?
And
During
yeah, what we
budget
did,
process.
What did we do
did-
last year?
what-
Nothing. You just didn't.
All right, and then the other
question.
question is, I'm no good at, do we need to polish the horses? Did they need to be polished?
He said he was gonna look at bids.
I know, do they look?
I think so.
Yes, they will eventually,
They look terrible.
they'll actually start to rust and everything if you don't take care of them.
Well, and the concrete under their feet is cracked too. So they need love.
So we need, yeah,
Let's just
so,
say $35,000 on landscape, and that
Mhm.
leaves us some room to take care of the horses and
any
the
electric,
signs
minor
and electrical.
100%.
I like that. That's a good idea.
So I make a motion to reduce the budget to $35,000
Escape.
for
I
landscape.
second it.
With the concept of, and again, just for clarity for me, concept that we're really trying to focus around the 407 side more.
Yeah.
Any bids we get, if they load up that side, it's not gonna be of value to. So I wanted to be able to direct a little bit too. Bring us what you got for 35,000, but we're really trying to focus on these areas as opposed to, right there on.
That's landscaping. That does not include any issues with the well or like.
Right, we'll work on that. We can work on that separately and I don't.
Yeah, I can get a number on
I'll
that.
second that motion.
I second it.
All in
Yeah.
favor?
Sorry, you did it.
Motion passed, the $35,000 cap on the landscape area.
Yep.
Okay,
So with the remaining budget, we can allocate that for the horses and the
What-
signs.
do you guys, does anybody know who polishes horses?
I did it in the Navy.
My wife does.
Get out there.
My wife does it.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
I don't,
Actually,
We can find
actually,
somebody.
they have to be clean first and then you just use Johnson wax and polish it. At least that's what we do on ours and we've had them for.
polish your car, but not your horses, okay?
Bartonville sign actually needs a little bit, both of them
TLC.
need a little TLC, the black paint needs to be redone. And those edge marks, because it's starting to peel and fade.
And that's the kind of guy that, yeah, we can, if you guys don't mind, like I said, I kind of do this, not exactly this, but I can find somebody that would do it and get you guys to approve budget. Okay, so we can work on that as a sidebar. If you guys are good with that, I'll
I am.
work on the electrical and see what we can do.
Yeah, and just to comment, I think. I don't know why I woke up. I think, isn't it? Normal procedure. I mean, this is under our purview, our direction, but we're for. Coming up from this end, somebody making a presentation and saying, I need 50,000 or 40,000 or $30,000 to do what I need to do. and improve it. Something like this is more into municipal works, and I mean, anything, is there a cap at 50 that has to go out for bid?
This is gonna be beautification, it can be like parks related. No, this falls under just a project. Again, without somebody coming. I wouldn't want to go over 50 on anything, but if 50,000, you start talking about sealed bids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
And-
and 50 it's sealed bids, 35 is not, but.
And you gotta be
50 is sealed.
careful when you bring an electrician and he's gonna say, oh, you need to do this yet. No,
Here's,
make it right.
here's
Yeah,
what
let's
we
do this.
want you to look
Okay. That answer your question?
I think so, especially if we do the 35,000 and then the other separate, so the.
at. The other guidance on that would be, we're not looking for desert type. Again,
Yeah, we want
to help.
native, like,
I want to bring y'all something that I want them to be compete, at least 3 different bids, but I want them to compete in the ways that y'all discussed out there. And again, not spending a bunch on this side. And then again, not a whole lot of prickly pears and desert type cactus.
Where that came from, if you remember, nobody really knew. We have several landscape designers at our company. So I just went to them and I said, hey, look, guys, I really don't know these folks. but what could we put that would live? And so all they did was give me a list of items that they thought would live there. And so I gave those to Rachel and said, what else can we do? And that's how we got those plans. So I'm good with whatever. It doesn't matter. But we can go from there.
And
Okay.
get creative too. It doesn't
Sure.
necessarily have to be plants.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other ways to do landscaping without having to worry about surviving plants and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a few, but just
Yeah.
propose like, hey, bring us what you can do. But that's it. That's gonna include the tree removal and stuff, correct?
Yeah, we gotta get the dead trees out, the
Needs to
stumps out.
include that piece as well, the cleanup.
The irrigation's got to get working or we're just wasting our money. Okay. We can, we're gonna go to item 1, correct?
Yes.
Consider approval of the April 10th, 2024 Bartonville Community Development Corporation regular meeting minutes. Anybody got a motion or question or issue?
Move that we approve the April 10. minutes.
Second that.
Okay. All in favor? Minutes approved. Receive an update from the marketing subcommittee.
That is on hold for the moment. We have a meeting, it had to get rescheduled because Chris got called out. So we have some questions we need to ask him to get answers on as far as the marketing side and the cost. So
Go-
that's Monday.
Okay, is he gonna include, just, I'm confused a little bit by that. Does Marty, who are the ones directing Chris originally? Was it,
They brought him in, and again, we were looking at how else can we help? Because they were talking about $10,000 because again,
Right.
the thought was that was the cap. And that was only gonna be for, again, pretty much Marty B's, Bartonville Store and
Right.
the tavern. The kind of the restaurant association, which again, I do not want to see an association for, because then I gotta deal with it. I'd rather just keep it in.
so can Chris answer their questions, do we think?
Mhm.
Is he,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah,
We
the
just need
questions
somebody
regarding,
that understands marketing so we can understand like the ROI and things like that. We're just doing the due diligence right now, but we have some ideas proposal wise to include in like, right, we want to include
And
all
I
of
just didn't know
Bartonville
what
and make it effective
knowledge-
for everybody,
Yeah.
okay.
but we're
Like I
gonna
said,
do the due
They got
diligence and
called
go that
off
route.
When they were arresting the students to cover
Okay.
that. And they canceled last minute.
All right, well, that will wait for the next meeting. Item 4, discussion of financial report ending April 2024. Jennifer, if you need to pick up your.
I want to leave you guys in a bind.
Yeah.
We still have a form?
I think
You sure?
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
you guys are the best, sorry.
Had the look from kids that you're late to pick up for. So.
It's just, there's only one of me. Bye, guys. Thank you for
See ya. See you later.
So when you look at the sales tax revenue, it's actually a little slow. It's not tracking to meet 100% of projection. Part of that is we were doing best guess because if you recall, it wasn't right at the budget line when we changed from y'all getting a quarter to an eighth. And that other portion going to the street maintenance sales tax. So overall, when you add your interest in and everything, you're still tracking along with the budget. We're okay because we're way over in interest. But it's something that I'll have to adjust going forward next year as we start getting into your budget discussions on whether or not I think that 120 is going to be good or not. Again, but now that I'll have a full year to look at, it'll be a lot easier to project. But again, I think the only reason we're off there a little bit is because we weren't sure exactly how that split was going to happen and when it was going to happen. And so I'm actually a little higher in my street maintenance and a little lower on yours. So again, that was the best guess that I had and I missed by a little bit.
So it's a projection, right?
It's a projection. That was truly a best educated guess, but on a lot of variables. Everything else is tracking. I mean, we all don't spend a lot on legal. Consultants, we don't spend a lot. So again, you've got a lot of a lot of room to move if you want to in those categories, and y'all can always transfer around and ask council to approve transferring from one category to another.
What do we have in those categories currently?
So like consulting fees, you've got 22,000 remaining for consultants, and we don't use a lot of consultants now because I'm here.
Just usually for the traffic count.
And we've already, where did the traffic count come in? That's
Traffic
actually,
study.
we actually have a separate item for traffic study, so that's already done.
Okay.
Last year's or this year's
That's
budget?
this year's.
Okay.
A lot of your consultant was like Greg Last, and y'all did a lot of those different things
Yeah.
with those.
Jeff,
Well, Jeff Moore is the attorney, and we haven't needed
Yeah.
him a lot because again, I know y'all, you know, I do a lot of different things, but because I did it for almost 20 years, I
Sure.
don't need a consultant very often.
I got it.
Until I get overloaded, then we may have to call one in. Again, the marketing money is sitting there. Y'all did not revise that yet, and we're waiting on information from the marketing subcommittee. Grant expenses are sitting at 0 because we amended the budget just to cover those agreements that were out there, and that money's been spent. Old Town maintenance, again, you had two categories. You had Old Town improvements at 50,000. And then you had Old Town maintenance at 40,000 this year. And again, the discussion, I do remember that was the horses and really kind of cleaning it up a little bit. The 50,000 was to make that bigger impact. Now, at that time, y'all were thinking trees and replacing trees before we did the little study that said that would be a waste of money. So again, that's why it's gone down to landscaping as opposed to replacing a bunch of dead trees with trees that are going to die in a few years because
I would like to reach out to them on a second, another note. They plugged those holes. They did the plugs, I found out, right? He dug the holes. Well, why didn't he put the stuff back in the holes?
that I don't know.
I'm gonna ask him. Can I do that? Is it
Yeah,
okay?
you can ask.
Probably because he wanted us to see it.
And I did,
Yeah.
I actually
But
went
he
out. and
did
looked
it
at
and
all
where he
of
did
them
it, yeah.
because he had
Okay.
flagged all of them.
Yeah,
So again,
okay.
once that was done.
Yeah, you're right,
He
Terry.
probably didn't-
Probably
he
did.
probably
I
didn't
was,
price
I was shocked how
shallow.
shallow, but wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the improvement, the $50,000, like what we're looking at using right now, that's separate from the maintenance. So the maintenance budget could be utilized
could-
for the horses and
Electrical,
the sign,
horses,
the
and-
electrical.
yes, so y'all have plenty of money there to do whatever y'all decide you want to do with that corner.
But for the improvement money, would it be wise to still keep the budget down and carry over for next year? Because since we don't know what we're looking at. So we don't have to,
Conservative.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, like being conservative in that sense and carrying over, but the maintenance, there is a pot for the horses and electrical. Okay.
And the irrigation as well. You could take all of that for maintenance.
Okay.
And then still leave the 35,000 for landscape. If that's
And
what you
we
wanna do.
pay for, like I said, we always like to have, when whoever's doing the landscape obviously does the irrigation also. But they're the guys that are winging the heads off. So if they're responsible for it within their budget,
I'll ask them
that's a
what that-
technical term, by the way, winging the heads off. But you know what I'm saying? What would that cost us?
I'm gonna find out from them because I actually need to find out for town hall as well, because I
Okay.
don't have that here.
Right,
And I have to go look around and see if any of the heads that
right.
popped off.
They need to
anything
come out and
else.
do an assessment and tell you what that needs.
And again, people who are doing the maintenance, that's just the best way, because I get too busy and then.
Yeah, yeah.
If I miss it, then I look up. Last year in the summer, when that pump went out,
Yeah.
all of a sudden grass is dying and I'm like, why is it dying?
They need to come and tell you, hey, Thad, there's a
Yes.
problem here. That's
Yeah.
how I think that's my opinion.
So any other
Okay.
questions on financials?
Not for me.
All right.
Any questions, anybody? Nope. Item 5, discussion of development activity, any new business perspective, expansion? Anything about how's it going? Looks like Swig and Andy's are doing well.
There's over there trying to figure out the drainage, there,
Hmm.
that has been a mess.
I was gonna figure out the traffic pattern. It's a very small area. I understand that custard shop does very, very well in a lot of locations.
Yeah, they'll be busy, kind of like Waterbury, very early on, we'll probably have to have traffic control out there. But that discussion came up at P and Z, and Swig and Andy's Frozen Custard, their peak hours are actually offset. So they've got this co-location done in other areas, and they say it works really well. And there a lot of discussion went on how they would route in. They'll start routing in off of 407 is more likely than coming down Jeter and coming in that back way, but that is still an option. So there's pretty good flow through there, but that was a hot topic because again, if they got busy at the same time, that can be a mess right there because their drive-throughs are right together.
Drive-throughs in almost any area, if they don't have too wide, the cars are all over the place.
Swig has nothing inside. It is 100% drive-through. So again, they're set up to run through very quickly. And Andy's has a walk-up, but they don't have a dine-in of any
They don't
kind.
have parking over there for Andy's, do they? So you'd be parking over in Kroger and walking across that driveway?
So they've got parking included. Yeah, they were actually one short and had to add one. So Swig has their own parking, even though they don't have a dining room, they have to have employee parking. And then Andy's has its own parking as well.
Yeah, what Marty found out was employee parking is the big problem.
Right. When you got that many employees like he has, they end up eating up a lot of your parking.
So what have we got? We don't have any. Are we done commercially? But
2 lots are all we have left.
2 lots and then making sure everybody stays full.
where are the two? Man, my brain is.
Either side of
But
Whataburger.
yes.
Oh, yeah,
Between
yeah,
Breaks
yeah.
Plus and Whataburger and then across Blanco from
Yeah, yeah,
Whataburger.
okay.
There's 2 lots remaining. Again, the Swig and the Andy's Frozen Custard took that one corner where we talked about the tree and other
Yep,
stuff. That was it on that
yeah.
side.
Okay.
2 lots are all still about their new quest.
Yes, they're all still owned by New Quest.
Anything proposed for those yet
Nothing
or
hard
discussed?
discussed. They talked about it at Chipotle. Apparently
no.
on one of them. But I don't know where that is. It was just a name that got thrown out.
So they could put in whatever they want. It can be another like chain.
As long as it meets the use table, yes, they can put in whatever they want. We have no say over. We gave up a lot of control over that years and years ago.
So how does it work? Smell. Whataburger's gonna smell, right?
It smell like Whataburger.
I
Randy. That's
get
gonna be
that, but
fantastic.
you can only smell Whataburger for so long, okay? We don't have any, we have no control over that.
That is all the freshwater district. They handle all of construction, all inspections. It was discussed as we were going through that discussion about Whataburger that one of the people who lives in Lantana would like these. There's a special ventilation system, but we can't demand it. And if the freshwater district chooses not to, there's nothing we can do. Yeah, I hear it's expensive, but it exists, but we can't enforce it.
Right, I got you. Okay. All right, yeah, and I've said this before, and this is nothing more than personal. When they put that stuff over on 1171 and 377, how much is it gonna hurt Kroger and what kind of hit can Kroger take before they say, I get it that right now it's busy and all is good, and I'll probably be dead when all that happens, but I don't want Kroger to become a Dollar General. You know what I mean?
Oh, calm down. I like Dollar General.
I'm just saying, yeah, you know what I mean, though. We would.
I know,
a ton
I
of
see what you're
revenue.
saying.
Antique mall
Well-
with a tea room in the back.
Oh,
Let's,
no.
like Kroger needs to do something to pick up, like, I don't know, freshen up their
Agreed.
store
And-
and everything.
And that's
'cause
my fear is when
it's
they
not-
put something down there, it's kind of it's not a pretty store sometimes inside.
Mm-mm.
So are you gonna take the time to drive down maybe to the new HEB or Tom Thumb, the one they're putting over in Harvest or wherever, to get a better look? Because this store has never been a really what I would consider well-kept store. And again, they put up another grocery store down there and one down the road. What do we got here? And then things change. Our revenues go, yeah. So anyway, that's just a side note, but it's a concern I've always had that I've watched it happen so many times.
What,
It would be a revenue hit. Wouldn't be as terrible if the economic development deal didn't exist. It gives it almost all back to them. So it still will hurt because also the valuations will go down.
Well, the problem will be is it's never just Kroger.
No,
As soon as
Kroger's the
lease-
anchor.
As soon as the leases expire on the rest of the stuff, they disappear as well.
Kroger's the
So,
draw.
because Kroger is the draw, so the revenue drop is dramatic over time.
And I know Marty's is a unique place and the Bartonville store is a unique place. But when you start putting some more unique restaurants down in the corner where First is going, you know, I don't want to wait at Marty's for 2 hours for a table. I'm gonna run down there. You know, I mean, it's gonna happen. Nothing lasts forever. It just doesn't, you know, so.
What can be done to like, I don't know, rejuvenate or revive this
question.
area up here?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know what it is, but that has always been my concern is that we lose that. And then now our taxes are gonna go up to pay for police and what have you. But I don't know. I mean, does does Kroger care? Yeah, I mean,
Never cared about us having us help them.
no. And they've never agreed to help us with even,
It's difficult from the town's perspective because again, we write a check for $250,000 a year to the developer and they don't seem to be reinvesting that
no.
into there. So you're already giving them a huge amount of cash. How much more do you want to do? And would that make a difference? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not gonna make it. I think their business is so good that I mean, they've got people from everywhere coming here. You know, they got it from Robeson Ranch, they got it from
From
everywhere.
ranch comes all the way over here. As soon as
There's
that
nothing
Tom
out
comes in, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
And so Kroger's is full. All they're gonna do is lose business. I mean, there's not new business coming in from anywhere. We're just gonna lose it.
Kroger's fat and happy right now because they are the closest
They're
thing
it.
to all these places. But once something pops in Argyle or wherever,
Yep.
like that's kind of our thing too, you know. The only thing I have a problem with Kroger because some things are just they're nasty. I get home and they go bad. So we go to Tom Thumb sometimes. I mean, it's that bad.
But I just wanted to raise that flag and go, guys, we got to be aware of that stuff. And I don't know what we can do. I'm just saying, throwing it out there. You know, what do we do?
What are the options? I mean, do we have any options?
Very little. And you're landlocked as a community.
Yep.
Again, your frontage is 407. You know, there could even, I know there's been past discussions, even if you tried to expand your commercial zoning, if you look at these maps on the wall, I'm staring
Yeah.
over your
No, you're fine.
shoulder. There's a huge amount of floodway going right up 407, basically from that corner that we were just standing on all the way up to Marty B's, where he's got a huge flood area that impacts where he's gonna build his event center. So again, even if council decided they wanted to go, or P and Z decided they want to go that direction, I'm not sure what goes mid-block because you're also not under corner. So I don't know, y'all. It will be challenging in the future to maintain those commercial areas. But because of the way it's laid out and the area that Bartonville has that fronts anything that even remotely looks commercial, you're limited.
And
It is
okay, so
limited.
leave
It's
Dollar
just a-
General
it's
alone. And he
something-
says, "Look, you know, I'm just kidding, but an antique store with a little diner in the back, we're gonna go from, you know, whatever amount to nothing, you know, I mean, it's just, so anyway, just,
Well, it doesn't seem like they're projecting. Everything's looking at right now. We're fat and happy right at this moment. That stuff already down there, that master plan is already in place. And so that is coming. And so nobody's projecting and looking, hey, what do we do to keep this going right here? So I guess my question is, what are the few options we have or people to talk to like broach that subject?
how do we
Because
keep them? Yeah, how do we keep them, or how do we keep something of that value here? I mean,
Market conditions outside of your control. We can always continue to communicate with them. Events, again, things that draw people in. That has always been good for the inline people. Kroger, not so much. But if you know, when you do a Christmas tree lighting or you do other events that draw people in and they focus on Bartonville, perhaps a marketing piece. This has to be an area where people come by choice.
right. Well, they could at least do some restoration in the front there. I mean, it always looks like the leftovers from Dollar General sitting out there. Like,
6 donation boxes on that site.
and you know what? They won't let you put a tent up for Mother's Day or Valentine's Day for flowers. All the Krogers do it, but this one, they made them take it down. So you know how Krogers would do that and they'd say, come get your flowers out, and you had to go in. They made them,
Doesn't allow it?
they don't allow, the Lantana didn't allow it.
Oh, that's right. The
So
Lantana
Lantana made them
HOA
take the
actually
tents down. So,
has control.
you know, yeah.
So the struggle is we give most of the money back and we have very little control. A lot of it is the freshwater district or Lantana HOA that has to approve design things, so. it's-
Wouldn't Lantana have some interest in that too? Cause they get part of the money out of it, right? That's gonna be a revenue reduction for them as well, correct? They don't
They
get
don't.
the,
The money we write goes to the developer, not Lantana.
oh,
So
But
yeah,
it does-
they get nothing.
I mean, I just remember when it went in, everybody was against it. And then when it came in, everybody's like, well, wait a minute. They're helping pay for the police department, you know?
And then we found out because of the way the freshwater district overlays, our crime control district gets.
Yep, zero.
That
But the
was gonna,
revenue,
that was gonna build the police department. I
Yeah.
went back and found the documents about and why there was so much turmoil about
oh, yeah.
budgeting and everything with the department, because that crime control tax was gonna help fund the
I
police
remember the
department.
conversations and it went sideways real quick, you know? And so anyway, nothing we can do today, but I'm just saying, those of us that plan on being here for a while, I don't know what we do, but it's a thought.
but there's gotta be people to start talking to because it's in their interest as well too. I mean, it's not just our interest in this. Somebody is maintaining that building and I mean, you know what I mean?
It's they're not motivated and we can't motivate them.
So
That's the problem.
maybe what you're talking about is maybe we reach out to a corporate and say, hey, guys, do they know that they've got to know there's competition
Yes.
coming in heavy, right?
Yeah,
And they've got to know that their store is not one of the prettiest. They've got to come look at it. I've seen people over there walking it from corporate. And I know there's nothing we can do as a town to make them pretty up their store, but is there any concern, guys, or maybe they've been fat and happy for so long that, you know, they're making their money, they've made their money. We
Fine.
can close the store in whatever, you know, I don't know.
consolidations because they're trying to merge with the other big
Yeah.
grocery stores. Their focus is elsewhere. This is the hardest part of the job because again, the market will demand it. The market will make that call. You can't incentivize them to put more in if they're not getting enough revenue from their grocery sales.
But you
It
can't,
seems counterintuitive because you're going, if you made it cleaner, more people would come in. Somehow their market research says, no, they won't.
yeah, you just got to think though, that there's got to be something that would keep the people, because there's going to be people that are going to go to the new store and not shop here. And what is it that would keep the people here versus you may go to the new store once or twice to see what it's like. But in general, what's going to draw the people back where my wife's going? You know, so anyway,
Just-
maybe we put that as a future agenda item and we kind of brainstorm a little bit, or
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
To at least show some concern on our end, to be like, hey, we have vested interest here and we'd like to see you guys succeed and kind of stand there like, hey, we're in this for you guys. Like, we know what's coming and we don't want to lose our great thing here. I mean,
I don't even know who our
Play that.
contact would be about something like that, you know?
well, Just something to think about.
$50,000 a year that goes to, they go to some questions.
Yes.
And are there any restrictions, is there any, what was that for?
Building all of this here and you will get a percentage of everything that's generated for the town. I don't know, 80. But
It's
a minute.
Something changes in the next couple of years, but it's just a percentage wise, but then we're still on it for.
I thought it was only like 20 years.
Well, the first 15 years, I think were the worst, but it didn't improve very much, if I remember from a long time ago. It was a very long-term commitment.
when you're not talking about a shopping center, it's got a 15 to 20-year life before it goes to
Yep.
second tier. It
Exactly.
starts becoming a something else. So I've seen these before. I've been doing this a long time. In North Richland Hills, we lost Tom Thumb and Albertsons as Walmart and Kroger came in and took them out. Or I see Walmart and Target. Pardon? Church. Tom Thumb just paid the rent and didn't put anything in there. Literally sat vacant for 10 years. Something like that.
Well, Randy and I have been warning about this for 10 years and nobody's been paying any attention. Everybody's been looking at, they're looking at their feet instead of looking out where they should have been. And this town could have made some decisions 10 years ago that would have solved the problem, but they didn't.
Well,
They refused to.
because right now things are good and down
Yeah,
the road they
always
won't
so.
be. And so we need to, I don't know if that's something a future, I I didn't mean to start that conversation. I'm just saying it was a concern. So,
Concerned, 'cause like some of us that will be here, like we wanted, that's the whole reason I asked to
Well,
be here.
That is right. He's already seen the movie. He knows what happens when it goes to tier 2. And it's not a pretty picture for the area. Yeah. Then you don't want to be
And
there.
you know, can't even drive through the parking lot because nobody ever fills in the potholes or anything else.
forever, so. All right, any other items? You want to go to any future items for anybody?
Question, since we were over at the, whatever. Yes, that lot right behind, what is that? That's got all the muck and stuff in it. It looks like standing water and if.
Across the street,
Mhm.
that's the septic field for the,
Because we wouldn't put sewer in, so it's a big septic field. They could hook up to the sewer at any time, but because the town refuses to do that, we get big septic fields. It's idiocy. It's total idiocy, because it could be solved in
it's for the
90
daycare.
days.
Right, but it,
It's for the day.
isn't it an environmental concern with all that?
Functioning right, we have to wait, where the problem right now is we have to wait for it to dry out to see if we have a real problem there. We think we do.
Okay,
Our sanitarian has been out and looked at it, but it keeps raining, so we can't see if that is simply because of the rain or if they've got a leak in the system. We don't think it's functioning properly.
In fact, it could have been hooked up to sewer years ago. And the problem wouldn't even be there.
but I see we're
It's called-
crossing
it's
that
called-
line.
it's called
Another
foresight.
day, another
Thinking
Yeah.
ahead rather than behind.
Yeah, but I can see foresight.
Foresight.
I thought you said horse sign, something. Here you go, there been.
No,
Okay,
I see both sides and.
yeah, so that's, I mean, I know Dad and I looked at that when we were right there, so. Anything else, anybody?
That's all I've got.
At 7:41. Let's close the, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong date. Oh, let's close the May 8th, Economic Development Committee meeting. I adjourn the meeting.
It's fun.
Yeah, that frozen custard place,